Good evening, and thank you for joining Veterans Count, a program of Easter Seals, for our 10th annual Salute Our Soldiers Gala. I'm Kathy Flynn, Director of Development for Veterans Count, and I'm honored to welcome you. We have a wonderful virtual event in store for you as we pay tribute to the 20th anniversary of September 11th and the American heroism, hope, and unity that was born out of that tragedy. We look forward to celebrating the spirit of September 12th with you and are grateful for your support of our important work. Before we begin, I'm pleased to introduce the chair of our Veterans Count Nashua chapter, Ken Sinclair, and chapter member and executive committee member, Michael Salter, who will present the 2021 Founders Award.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm so pleased to be here with Mike to recognize the contributions of someone who has given generously of himself and his resources to directly benefit active service members and veterans in our community. Bellavance Beverage Company is a long-term supporter of Veterans Count. 2021 marks 7 years. Every June, the team at Bellavance Beverage Company donates a portion of sales to Veterans Count from every case of Budweiser sold. The check presentation takes place at the Nashua Silver Knights baseball game, played on the Hometown Heroes Military Night.
Thank you, Ken. I wholeheartedly agree. It's very special for me and to be here each year, and it's special, extra special this year to be here for the Bellavance & Company. Bellavance is a very special company. Founded in 1902, survived prohibition by selling cigars and soda pop, and fast forward to today, has just recently built a 142,000 foot facility in Londonderry with one of the largest solar array roofs in the country and in New Hampshire. 3,000 solar arrays, by golly.
It's our consummate pleasure to present Joseph Bellavance IV, President of Bellavance Beverage Company, a staple of New Hampshire's retailers since 1902, with the 2021 Veterans Count Founders Award. Joe?
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Thank you. And on behalf of the team at Bellavance Beverage, I am very proud to accept this award. The men and women of our armed services do a tremendous job, and it is only fitting that we are able to support the work that Veterans Count does for the men and women when they return home from deployment and their service. So thank you to Veterans Count for all the fantastic work that they do, and thank you to the men and women of our armed services for all that you do. Freedom isn't free, and we appreciate that.
Thank you, Joe, for your commitment to the health and future of our active military members and veterans. My name's Maureen Beauregard, and I'm the CEO and President of Easter Seals. This 10th annual Salute Our Soldiers Gala is an opportunity to reflect on what unites us as Americans and how we are stronger together. It also allows us to recognize the many contributions of our military service members and veterans and their selfless acts of bravery throughout our history. Tonight, we pay particular tribute to our post-9/11 veterans as we honor all American heroes. On behalf of the service members and veterans we served throughout this year, please accept my heartfelt gratitude for your support. I hope you enjoyed this special virtual program featuring entertainment by Tony Pace and narration by Sai Mahfouz. I especially look forward to when we will be able to gather together to celebrate our Salute Our Soldiers Gala in person. Thank you.
A young equities trader makes his way to his desk on the 104th floor of the South Tower of the World Trade Center. A new mother cradles her infant daughter in a rocking chair, and a high school senior arrives to his history class ready to take an exam. America was still basking in the post-World War II prosperity it enjoyed for over half a century, confident in its status as the world's leader in all things diplomatic, commercial, and ethical. It was still the dawn of a new millennium, a time of hope, a time of security, and a time of peace. And then America changed forever. At 8:46 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on September 11, 2001, when the first hijacked American Airlines Boeing 767 jet flew into the 80th floor of the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City, we collectively lost our sense of security, our trust, and our innocence. But one thing the 19 suicidal al-Qaeda terrorists could not steal from us that day, between their orchestrated attacks on civilians and military personnel in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Shanksville, Pennsylvania, was our patriotism and our deep-rooted commitment to this country. While we were at our lowest point, we remembered who we were, patriots in those darkest of moments. Clouded by fear, Americans of every race, background, religion, and creed answered the call to unite in bravery and patriotism, and to help each other, whether family or strangers. While we lost 2,977 victims between 9/11 and the aftermath, countless more were saved because of the courage and selflessness of everyday Americans. People who love their unknown neighbors more than themselves. In America, the heroes came, like they always do. Men and women across our great nation heard a call for service in our hurting nation and within their own hearts. Like veterans across the centuries of America's rich history, they enlisted in our armed forces with zeal that hadn't been seen since World War II. Eric Ferraro was one of them.
My name's Eric Ferraro. These days I am a police officer in the city of Methuen. I'm also still a reserve Marine. Zero intentions of ever joining the military. I never planned on being a police officer. Just kind of ended up happening with what happened. On 9/11, I was at school. At that time, I was going to college. I was at UMass Amherst. I remember sitting with one of my friends, and she said, "Gee, this really weird thing just happened." She said a plane hit one of the Twin Towers in New York City. Everybody was just crowded around TVs. I mean, there's so many different moments you kind of remember throughout that day. And I remember the tower going down, the first one, right after you saw you saw the fire trucks and police officers running that way. So you knew, and I mean, they're huge buildings, you know, there's a lot of people in them. It's obviously not an accident. This is our country, my country. I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure nothing like this ever happens again. I'm signing. That day, I reached out to the Marine Corps recruiter that was near my house back in Lowell, which is where I grew up. And I made an appointment to meet with them on Friday. I got brought in and we started paperwork. But I can remember there were men there that were in their 50s and their 60s who said, you know, they'd fought in Vietnam and they wanted to come back in. They were banging down the door to get back in. Told me we were able to go down to Boston and swear in on September 23rd, 2001, the day I enlisted in the Marine Corps. I ended up, I went to boot camp a few months later. I started January 21st of 2002, and ultimately I've been doing it ever since, really. So, ended up going to Iraq multiple times. No matter who you are, like I don't know how you could see what happened that day and not feel a sense of like belonging with everyone around you. And here we are, full circle, 20 years later. I actually just started law school a month ago, which is what I planned on doing 20 years ago.
I'd like to welcome you to Nashua Fire Rescue Headquarters in the city of Nashua's 20th remembrance of the September 11th terrorist attacks.
This is a day to remember, to celebrate the remembrance of thousands of people who died. Remember the World Trade Center. Remember the Pentagon. Remember Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Remember how weak and vulnerable we felt as a nation on September 11th.
The day of the 11th, you know, we did like everybody. We just watched it unfold on TV.
I had the news on, kind of watched things unfold, saw the second plane hit, just kind of shock, disbelief.
I was in middle school, and I just remember they didn't tell us what was going on. Just a whole bunch of kids started to go home.
I remember my dad was home, and he works in Boston, so he was never be home before we got home. So like when he was home, something big had happened, and then it kind of set in the gravity of what was going on.
Just the shock and disbelief when both buildings came down, and trying to grasp how many people were just killed.
So it was just an odd transition those first few days. Nobody really knew what was going on other than, it was the worst thing that's ever happened in our lifetime to our country.
So when 9/11 happened, being 11 years old, and you want to be a firefighter and you want to help, and at the time when that happened, I wanted to join the military that day.
So I remember going down, we were returning from a call and driving down Main Street, and just like everybody else, we got the biggest American flag we could get and we put it on top of the truck, and just going down Main Street and everybody out there just cheering and yelling and everything. So, people, it kind of brought everybody together. They had a love and respect for each other at that point, and then especially for us.
Overwhelming gratitude in the community as a whole, not just towards the fire department, but towards just people in general. It seemed like everybody was just nicer in the time after that, a huge tragedy, and the only way you get through it is to unite a little bit, and that's what we did.
At the Central Firehouse, the whole duty crew had lined up, and as people walked by, they saluted them, and people breaking down in tears, crying, and it was pretty touching to see that many people come out.
When we got hired, there wasn't a lot of recent military vets on the fire department, and there are now.
Oh, yeah.
And they're probably, the two of them are somewhat connected between post 9/11 and then the ensuing military conflicts in the Middle East over the past years. Those guys went and did full-time military service, and then when they get out, it's a natural progression to go from serving your country to serving your community. And a lot of them would go to the police department, and a lot of them would come to the fire department. So, we have a significant number of veterans on the fire department now who are young.
Same thing, I didn't have really a desire to be in the military as a kid growing up, and I guess, maybe because 9/11, a lot of my friends' older brothers at the time, they were like seniors in high school, or I was in middle school. Those guys, to me, were kind of like the guys I wanted to be like, so I decided to join the military.
The guys that we see now that are on the fire department, you know what they did in the military, you know what they did to impact our lives every single day. One of the things that happened post 9/11, obviously FDNY was heavily engaged with operations at Ground Zero. Well, they also lost 343 firefighters that day. And firefighters take a tremendous amount of respect in paying tribute to a fallen comrade at the appropriate time. So they couldn't go to 343 funerals.
You're looking at 15,000 guys plus that would show up to a regular funeral prior to 9/11. And then you'd go to these 9/11 funerals and there'd be 300, maybe 1,000, because there was no one to go.
20 or 30 guys would get on the bus and we'd go down to New York City, and we'd go to 2 or 3 FDNY 9/11 funerals. So you got to know the story of these firefighters. They told the stories, and of course so many of the stories were exactly the same in how they gave their lives, that day. But that was a pretty incredible part to have gone down there and represent the fire service at a lot of those funerals.
In the days and weeks that followed, we came together as a nation. We put aside our differences, and we worked together instead of against each other. Remember how good it felt to be united. The best way we can honor and remember the sacrifice of so many is simple. We need to be better. And remember, we are and will always be stronger when we are united.
On September 12th, 2001, our country woke, just like we have done every time our freedom has been attacked. We rallied around many feelings, and we continue to do so. Honor, hope, and resilience. Please keep these words in your hearts as Nashua Fire Rescue Captain Gordon Wilson closes our remembrance service with the healing sounds of bagpipes.
What a wonderful program. I'm Kent Swanson, the chair of the 2021 Salute Our Soldiers Gala Committee, and I'm humbled to have been involved with this effort for the past 5 years. I continue to participate year after year because I see how important every dollar is that is raised by Veterans Count. I urge you to donate now to this worthy cause because so many service members and veterans in our community need our help. Did you know that a $25 donation will provide gas or transportation to ensure a veteran gets to a medical appointment?
Hi, I'm Mike Rice. I've been a member of the Vets Count program for over 10 years. And if you add a $50 donation, we'll allow a homeless veteran to have a new pair of warm boots or a track phone to allow them to ask for help when it's needed.
Hi, I'm Greg Darbone, and I've been with Veterans Count for about 6 years. Just $100 will cover an entire month of necessary medications for a veteran, and a $250 gift will purchase a bed for a veteran's new apartment.
Hi, my name is Louise Elliott. I've been with Veterans Count for about 5 years.
Donating $500 puts food on the table for a family of 3 for 1 month, while $1,000 covers a whole month's rent for a service member.
My name is Jason Ricard. I've been involved with Veterans Count for 5 years. Did you know a $3,000 gift purchases work tools, boots, and trainings for 6 veterans for their new jobs, and $7,500 pays for 2 weeks of treatment for a veteran with substance misuse issues?
Hi, my name is Patrick McDonough. I've been with Veterans Count for 5 years. Donating $10,000 pays a security deposit for 8 veterans to secure permanent housing.
Hi, my name is Christy Donaghy. I've been blessed to be involved with Veterans Count for the last 5 years. Your $25,000 donation helps cover dental work such as extractions, dentures, and periodontal work for 15 veterans.
If you prefer to expand your giving beyond a one-time donation, it would be so helpful for you to consider a recurring donation to Veterans Count. 90 cents of every dollar donated goes directly to the support of the active military members and our veterans who served. Just $10 a month will help a veteran keep the lights on by paying for electricity, and $25 a month will cover a 2-night stay for a soldier waiting on permanent housing, while a $100 donation gift will support the work of a care coordinator that provides a veteran an individual hand up to safety and security. Please help us fulfill this everyday needs that our soldiers and veterans so badly and desperately need. They didn't hesitate to serve our country and protect our freedoms when we needed them. Please join me in stepping up to serve them tonight. Failure is not an option for these patriots, these heroes. Thank you kindly for your consideration and generosity.
The late Red Skelton relayed a story of his teacher, Mr. Laswell, who felt his students had come to think of the Pledge of Allegiance as merely something to recite in class each day. It had become monotonous and had lost its essence and meaning. Now, more than ever, as we commemorate the 20th anniversary of September 11th, may we never forget. May it never be just another day, and may we hold all those who've paid the ultimate price in our hearts and memories. If I may, I'd like to recite the Pledge of Allegiance just as Red Skelton did so long ago, and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. Here goes. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without a self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion. To the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's always been respect because your loyalty has given her the dignity that shouts freedom is everyone's job. Of the united, that means that we all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with a pride and dignity and purpose, all divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that purpose, love for country. And to the Republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation. One nation, meaning so blessed by God. Indivisible. Incapable of being divided. With liberty, which is freedom. The right of power to live one's life without fear or threats, some sort of retaliation. And justice. The principle of quality and dealing fairly with others. For all. Which means, my friends, it's as much your country as it is mine. Now, since Red was a small boy, 2 other states had been added to our country, and 2 words added to the Pledge of Allegiance. Those words, under God. And it's so telling when he said, wouldn't it be a pity if someone said, that's a prayer, and it would be eliminated from our schools too? Never forget. God bless America.
The missing man table. The table is round to show our everlasting concern for our missing men. The table is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives while answering the call of duty. The single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the life of each of the missing and their loved ones, and friends of those Americans who kept the faith, awaiting answers. The vase is tied with a red ribbon, symbol of our continued determination to account for our missing. A slice of lemon on the bread plate is to remind us of the bitter fate of those captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears endured by those missing and their families who seek answers. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain those lost in our country, founded as one nation under God. The lighted candle reflects our hope for their return. The glass is inverted to symbolize their inability to share this evening's toast. The chair is empty to show they are missing. In America, the heroes came, like they always do.